For the last 100 years, and particularly the last few decades, women have received greater power in society, more influence, more high-paying jobs, and greater freedom from responsibility. Women have been getting everything that they want at an unprecedented rate. Despite this, women are more miserable than ever. Statistics show that women are increasingly unhappy and discontented. As I'm sure most of you have observed, women have also become increasingly angry and whiny. They're getting all the things they want, and yet they complain about how hard their lives are, about how oppressed they are, about how badly men supposedly treat them. Women have gotten to a point in society where they demand, and indeed received, all of the powers and privileges traditionally associated with men, and none of the associated responsibilities. They have also eliminated the traditional limitations of women without any reduction in the traditional advantages of women, such as control over sexuality. So why are women so miserable when they have so many relative advantages and so fewer responsibilities? Well, have you ever seen a spoiled child? One of the most striking things about brats is that they are always miserable. The spoiled child gets just about everything that she wants, and the more the brat gets, the more the brat wants. And the more often little brats get what they want, the more outraged they become, when in rare cases they can't have exactly what they want at exactly the right time. Women have become just like these spoiled brats. They are getting all the things that they want, and as opposed to making them happy, this has only made women more demanding, entitled, angry, and unhappy. Women have demanded the same right to work that men have, to enter into prestigious fields, to receive a higher education, and to be hired for traditionally male jobs. Not only have women received this, but they have received substantially lowered standards to help them compete with men in those fields. Women have received special scholarships and affirmative action to help them succeed in academic fields that they aren't as good at, such as mathematics and engineering, or have reduced physical standards for jobs that require a great deal of physical prowess, such as the military. When women get into these mostly male fields, they complain that there are too many men there, that it is too dangerous or too hard. They want these fields to change to accommodate women, to make special exceptions for them so that they can take off years at a time to have babies, or have all the men bend over backwards watching what they say so that they can't be accused of sexual harassment, discrimination, or creating a hostile work environment. Women have received all of these demands. They can be an objectively inferior worker or student, and be placed above objectively superior men in the name of achieving equality. But at the same time, women have demanded to be freed from all the responsibilities and powers that they have always had. For example, women have always been the gatekeepers of sexuality. It has always been the women who have had the power of when sex is had, who gets the sex, who doesn't, and the associated issues related to this. Women can get sex whenever they want, and have an easy time seducing men, or using their sexuality to get ahead or manipulate men. This phenomena isn't a social construct. It is a fact of biology, or a biotruth, as the cultural Marxists might say. Even if the feminists had any desire to change it, they couldn't without some form of genetic engineering. In the past, there have been a number of limitations placed upon this incredible power that women have. Female promiscuity was highly frowned upon. Illegitimate children were seen as a mark of shame. A woman who cheated on her husband could face extreme consequences and face all the social stigma that have been a part of social morals for most of human history. With the rise of feminism, all of the stigma associated with the abuse of female power is being removed. A woman who leaves her husband or that gets pregnant out of wedlock is rewarded by a lifetime cut of his salary, and with numerous forms of government aid. If a pregnant woman chooses an abortion, she faces no consequences for her unwanted pregnancy, but if she chooses differently, she can make a man her slave to her and her child for a substantial portion of his life. If a woman blatantly uses her sexuality to get ahead, anyone who questions this behavior is called a misogynist or a rape apologist, and the woman is treated like a sweet little angel who should simply have the right to behave as she pleases without any negative social consequences. This freedom from sexual and reproductive responsibility becomes particularly dangerous when we look at it in the light of long-term relationships. In a marriage, women have almost absolute power over the man. She is the de facto, if not the de jure, ruler of the home and the bedroom, with the ability to decide when and how sex occurs. Let's not be naive or puritanical here. This is an extreme form of power. She will make the majority of the decisions for the household: what cars to get, what color to paint the house, how the children should be raised. These are powers that women have traditionally had within the home as a side effect of the biological differences between the psychology of men and women. Now, regardless of who works and how much they make, the woman will have the power to spend the majority of the couple's money. If the woman so chooses, she can leave her husband at any time and will have a much easier time finding a new sexual partner than he will. She can, if she so desires, receive custody of the children and force the husband that she left to be her slave indefinitely, paying child support and alimony for a child that he is not even allowed to see. If she really wants to, she can accuse him of rape, domestic violence, or some other politically charged crime and ruin the poor man's life. With all these powers within a marriage, is it any surprise that women don't have respect for men? You don't have respect for a doormat. And the social and legal rules of our society give all women these powers and freedoms that allow any woman to screw over any man with very little fear of repercussions. Despite the stereotype of women as being kind and compassionate, in practice, women have an inborn psychology that's closer to that of the Cobra Kai karate dojo. Mercy is for the weak. The enemy deserves no mercy. At least this is their attitude toward men. Women despise men that they perceive as weak or vulnerable, and feminism has made every man weak in relation to the women in his life. And unfortunately, many women don't have any hesitation in using, abusing, or despising weak doormat men. In this light, it's no surprise that the great majority of divorces are initiated by women, and that they will tear apart their families and create all kinds of associated heartache for relatively shallow and petty reasons. Correspondingly, it isn't hard to understand why some men might be inclined to go their own way, instead of putting their head in the lion's mouth and hoping that it doesn't decide to bite down. So instead of having reasonable limits upon their behavior and having to earn their wealth and restrict their actions because of reasonable consequences, women can figuratively, and sometimes literally, get away with murder. As these women become more accustomed to getting what they want and doing what they want without consequences, they become more and more entitled to that spoiled behavior and become apoplectic when they get called on their bad behavior. This is a major factor in how spoiled, entitled women can go through life whining and complaining about how oppressed they are when they have advantages over men in virtually every respect, save for the most basic biological functions. This is Shieldwife. Thanks for watching.